Give me the intro, man. Start. Forget about your intro. Just fuck the intros. Fuck everything.
Surviving the digital jungle is tough. We're here to guide you through it on the Digital Jungle Podcast.
When throughout your journey did you realize strata and the relationship that you can build with these strata companies and these types of companies, they were valuable? When did you realize that?
Probably about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I had this shift in mindset that I started to get into some strata work and I enjoyed it. It's very different. It's very hard to get into.
When you say hard, why? What's so hard?
You really need to be set up in a way to cater to strata.
Okay.
Right? I would currently say probably about 80%, 70 to 80% of what we do now is probably strata.
Wow.
70%, maybe a little bit less. I don't know the exact numbers, but we are just getting in with so many more. And the reason why we are going down that path is, number one, I really enjoy it. I love the relationships with the managers and the companies. It's great for me personally. I love that sort of stuff. I love the value in a relationship. I love the fact that you as a strata manager can still use SPS for anything. But if you ever need anything, you can call Michael, you can call one of our senior guys and bang, we'll get it done for you, right?
Reliability.
100%. And that is something where if you are not set up in a way to cater to the strata field, you're going to get found out about it, right? So probably about 4 or 5 years ago, we got in with maybe 1 or 2 at the start.
Did you think that when you say we got in with them, did you even know that there was potential there?
No.
Did you just look at them like, oh, it's just another building calling me to do some work?
Exactly right, 100%. And it wasn't until we got into a company that via a family friend, and he was a manager. And we developed a really, really good relationship with him. And it just sort of opened my eyes up to how much potential there really was in the strata field.
It's interesting because you would have seen it when you first went onto site and you did some work and you established a relationship. You probably seen the potential, but there's a lot of people that would go there and realize you don't get paid on the spot.
No.
That's number one.
No.
Number two, the red tape is a little bit longer. Yeah. What I mean by the red tape, there's a certain process that you need to go through to get a job, to get it approved, to facilitate it. Sometimes, timing, it's not as straightforward.
Nah, not at all. And everything in strata seems to be urgent, even if it's not, right? Yes. Because we find that a lot. Honestly, it really is. Everything in strata seems to be urgent, but that's okay. We are set up in a way where we can cater to everything and anything that comes in that needs urgent attention. But strata is a different beast. Like you talk about from construction to this is still maintenance, but it's a lot more complicated. You need to know, I'll give you an example, right? There are certain parameters where it's owner's corporation that pays for the repair, and there's situations where the owner of that unit or the property needs to pay for the repair. There's certain limitations as to if it's a block drain in a floor waste, is it caused by building material, or is it caused by hair? If it's caused by hair, then you've got to document that, send that back to strata, for example. Block drains in certain areas. Burst pipes, are they on an internal wall? Are they common wall? How many walls are leaking in this shower? Are they internal, common? Is it the floor only? Is it an original bathroom? Has it been remodeled? Has it been re-renovated? What's happening? But there's so many things.
Wow.
That then become, that you need to understand when you go into that field, that you need to document everything. You've got to have a process and a system and the photos and the documentation and the support. The community, the biggest thing that we've taken away. You talk about, I guess one of the major shifts that we've had. Our business now focuses a lot on the communication side of things. As a strata manager, you email us a quote request or a work order. Within 60 minutes, we have a rule in-house. 60 minutes, that work order is actioned. So what do I mean by action? We call the tenant or the resident of that property. We book a time in. We email back to the strata manager saying, hey, Mr. Smith, it's been booked in for Wednesday between this time and this time, or no, we can't get a hold of him, or no, there was an issue. It's a lot more complicated. There's generally as well.
Wow. So 60 minutes, you would have coordinated and facilitated.
100%.
Okay, that's super powerful. Let me touch on that a little bit. Why did you make it an internal rule?
I'll tell you something. So as we continue to get in with these companies, right? And it takes a long time to get in with companies sometimes, right? It's a lot harder to get in because certain companies will have their existing trades and you need to respect that, right? And I totally get that. But we're always there as a backup. They want a quote request. That's how generally it starts. And then it just sort of tends to flow on from there, right? But what I found was, and I still find this astonishing, right? That this established strata company, and it's still present today, has contractors where they don't even respond to that work order request till 3 days after. Or they don't open it, they don't respond back to the manager. Then the tenant's upset, so they'll email the strata manager, and the strata manager just puts up with it because that's what they're used to, and that's what they're accustomed to. And they just think that that's okay. But then at some point, something shifts in the strata manager, and they're like, you know what, we've had enough of this. We can't keep going on. Something has to change, and that's where we generally come in. The fact that you as a contractor are receiving work from a company or a facilities company or an association or somewhere that's providing you work, and you are not delivering on that service, to me is mind-boggling. I don't understand it. I can't comprehend it. Maybe I'm unique. Maybe I'm different. Maybe I over-dramatize it. But for me, if something comes in, we need to action it straight away.
And
Responsiveness.
your team understands.
100%. Everything, like I said to you, everything in strata is urgent, even if it's not.
Okay.
Right? So there's a lot of leaks in between units, for example, and they're high-stress situations. You know, they think that it's going to start damaging the unit below, and you've got to jump onto that quick.
Absolutely. Because obviously the strata company is starting to get pressure from multiple residents.
Yeah, 100%.
So essentially, number one, when you say communication and you say work order comes in and you action it immediately, essentially what you're saying is you're delivering a high-level communication back to the strata company. So in case of not backlash, but when residents are complaining, they've got the supporting documents to say, look, we have actioned it immediately.
Yeah, 100%.
You basically ensure that the strata company is looked extremely well in the eyes of the residents.
100%. And it makes you look good and it makes us feel good.
Yes.
The fact that we can deliver. And the biggest thing I feel is you've got to be consistent. It's no good me doing this today, but next Thursday, something completely changes and you take 7 hours to respond to that. It's got to be consistently the same each and every time. And you find that they reach out to you and they engage with you because of your responsiveness, because of your delivery, because of your reporting and your documentation. But that takes time.
These standards that you're setting, because they are very high standards.
Yeah.
So what I mean by high standards, you're talking about, sometimes people don't check their email inquiry, their emails, for an hour.
Yeah.
But you set a high standard of delivery, and you set this level of expectation that your company and your team are going to deliver it. I feel like your leadership allows your team to bond together to deliver it. That's fantastic. Then you speak about communication. Now, communication in documenting, so your process of diagnosing the issue, that's super important. Yeah. So therefore, you need the right team to be allocated to these
and the
jobs.
Training to provide the guys. Okay. So we constantly have toolbox meetings with the guys and we label out certain scenarios that have happened, issues that we face, and we learn from that. Because again, finding a leak in a residential house sometimes is super easy. Once you master strata, you'll master residential houses, I guess, super, super easy. Because, man, sometimes we've had leak from 3 floors above, for example, and things get very complicated and stressful very, very quick.
Okay.
Strata isn't for everyone. And if you don't have that level of knowledge and that understanding of someone that's been there and done that,
once again, you're going to get caught out.
You're going to get caught out.
So you go on the job, your team goes on the job, now your system, right?
Yeah.
You've worked hard on your internal system and how to logistically coordinate your team. your system, you've also upgraded, enhanced, optimized your internal system to be able to provide detailed reports.
100%.
I want you to touch on that because like I said, from what I gather, and this is, like I said, it's an honor to sit down with you as my first guest, because the standards you set sometimes seem so high that they may not be achievable, but when you're just thinking about it. But then you go out and you set yourself up to, let's go out and achieve this. When did you realize how important it is to document? Because once again, strata companies are starting to really love the work that you do. And that's because not many people are doing it.
Yeah.
What made you think, I'm going to do this, document the job and provide a detailed report?
Well, part of strata is you need to provide detailed documentation, but not a lot of guys do it, right? So they might send you a photo, they might send you a quick video. Our videos are sometimes 3 or 4 minutes long. For example, we give before and after. Not only that, the updates, if we're doing a large job, you know, part of the process that we have internally is that we keep you updated as the manager. Mr. Smith, just to let you know, on this strata plan here, we've already started the drainage works. We're 50% through. Here are some progress photos. Everything's going great. Should be expected to be finished on Friday afternoon, right?
Wow.
How awesome do you feel knowing that these contractors, right,
on point.
Are on point. They're doing what I want to do. I don't need to do anything. They're making my life. We have an internal thing where we say to ourselves, how do we make the lives of our managers easier? Simple. Sounds simple, right?
It's a great mentality to have.
Sounds
that
so
makes you
simple.
That straight away tells you, where do I need to improve?
Yeah.
And if you have a good relationship with a strata manager and they can vocalize some of the issues that they have openly,
yeah,
you know what I mean? That allows you to help them get better, because you're always willing to improve your internal process anyway.
And on, you know, you talk about that and the feedback that you get from the managers, right? We put ourselves out there. I go in and I meet with them every year, twice to 3 times a year. I'll send them out surveys.
Wow.
How are you with the current service? Are there any issues? And again, this hasn't developed overnight.
No.
Right? So when I come into your office and I say to you, we're going to do X, Y, Z, and D, I can talk as much as I want. I can talk all the crap that I want.
Someone's got to deliver it.
I can spin you the biggest sales pitch, but when you do send me that job, right, I need to have the substance, the processes, the systems, the people, the structure in place, because if I don't, what's going to happen? You're going to get found out straight away.
Absolutely.
Right? So that to me is so powerful for myself and my team and the company that I have now built to cater to that. Because what that then now does, it organically, our existing COD database, our customers that ring us up and find us online, the process was already there. We now know how to address this clientele because we've already developed it here, and organically, it's just a major engine that just continuously rotates and it continuously spins, and everyone knows their role.
But see, what you're doing as well is you're developing a culture in the strata arm of your business where because teaching your team to vocalize, diagnose, take recordings, upload it into the system, type up some information, that in itself, you're trying to train a staff member on something so new. Yeah. That's hard as well.
100%. It is. It's very difficult.
If you master that there, you can also roll that out. It works hand in hand in your residential, because if you're lifting the service level on your residential arm, you know, you're essentially going to be one of the only plumbers that offers this type of service.
Yeah, 100%. And it takes time. It really does take time and errors, and we've made mistakes along the way. Yeah,
I can't imagine. Like, I can't imagine how many errors you would have had to make, because, like, you mentioned some of these issues, right? And sometimes it's like diagnosing it. How the hell do you bill for it? Because you got your investigation process. Like, once again, it's almost like when you started when you were 23 years old and you come to your first job and you don't know how to
It literally was. I had to learn it all over again.
Wow.
It was like a different field that I had to learn. Really, It really was.
Wow.
But I just knew that there was a lot of upside to having that along with my residential business.
Yes.
And the COD. And
there's a massive cash flow issue.
100%.
Like, I'll give you an example. You know, for a smaller business that has some overheads, it's very hard to have strata contracts just to manage your cash flow.
30, 60 days sometimes. Sometimes there's issues.
Yep.
And sometimes we don't do it out of goodwill where a strata plan, but that's the relationship that we have with our managers. They'll ring us up and say, hey, the strata plan is looking at getting funds to come through in 3 months' time. They really have an urgent problem. Can you guys go out and be paid in X amount of time? Right?
Wow.
It doesn't happen a lot, right? But the relationship that we have with our managers is good enough that where they can pick up the phone
and actually make that call. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love that. Again, I'm all about the relationship. I'm not in this for the short term. And I always say this to the managers that we work with. If you are looking for someone that's going to give you short-term success, that's going to provide you with the service, the reliability for a short period of time, and then stuff you over and charge you an arm and a leg, it's not us. I'm not in this for this reason, right? So the reasons are different, and we're here to be with you along the way. And it could sound cliche, and until you sort of understand the level of effort that I put in and the team puts in and the systems that we have in place to cater for our clients, until you truly understand and appreciate what we do and how far we're willing to go for our clients, really.
Wow, that's super, super impressive.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so obviously it's a difficult task on a cash flow level, but don't worry about the cash flow right now.
Yeah.
You realized, you said what, 4 years?
About 4 years, yeah.
4 years ago, Strata's really good.
Yeah.
You enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That automatically ticks Michael's box. When you enjoy it, you're on it now.
Yeah.
Now you're obsessed. Now you really need to figure this out, right?
Yeah.
But I know we had conversations around that time where you wanted to target some of these strata companies, right? And did you quickly learn that no one's going to get you a strata company to use you unless you put in the grind? How long did it take you to realize that strata's never going to fall on your lap?
Yeah, very long time. I think that first year, I was just sort of trialing different things out and seeing what worked and what didn't work and how.
Because it was a journey for me too, because I thought maybe we could go down the track and market for it.
My approach now, I feel now the fact that we're in with a lot more companies and some of the
there's momentum,
and there's
of
momentum
course.
Because what happens is some of the things that happen now, it's organic because
it's community.
Yeah, and you go from this company to this company. What happens is you start using us to this company, and then this guy will refer us to this manager here, and this guy will ask for this here, and then some along the way
that took a long time.
Oh, 100%.
So if I was to rewind 4 years ago and the discussions we were having on a marketing level, because you've identified this is potential for your business, this is something that you want to, definitely look deeper into it. Then we need to identify how we're going to get more of this.
Yeah.
All right. The marketing channel was really tough. They're not going to fall on your lap.
That's right.
They're not actively searching every single day for a plumbing strata manager.
Plumber Sydney, yeah.
When did it click into your head? It's got to come from you.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to put the effort.
About a year into that whole, 4 years ago, that first year, I would say I knew that I had to do things very different.
So you have however many strata companies and facility management companies using you right now. How many of them you actively approached?
Oh, heaps.
You'd say 80%?
Yeah.
You had to actually get off your ass, pick up the phone yourself, meet with them themselves, yourself,
follow
have
up
the
follow up when I didn't send the job.
Cop the rejection.
I became immune to the rejection. I really didn't care.
But you persisted.
Yeah, I became relentless.
Great.
Because I really didn't care. Like I said to you at the very start of this conversation, because I know that when you start engaging us in your strata company,
you have no regrets.
That's it. We will never let you down. And if something was to happen, we will fix it straight away.
That's the confidence in your team 100%, and your business.
And like I said, there probably isn't a lot of guys out there and a lot of companies that can say to you that when you engage us to do a strata job, on a strata building that you manage and your committee members put the trust in you to get the job done, it's going to get done. Simple. There's no ifs or buts. And if it doesn't get done or addressed straight away, we'll make sure that we learn from that and we never make that same mistake again.
That's right. Wow.
Right? So, and again, that comes with years of making those errors and having the team and training them and understanding it. And again, we learned that. But the fundamentals of plumbing are plumbing.
Yes.
You just needed to learn the laws around strata, where you can and can't, what's their responsibility, what's not, How do you address certain situations? Understand that the strata company facilitates the work. They don't make the decision at the end of the day, right? So you are just the committee members on that strata plan.
Wow.
Right, are just as important, if not more important, than the strata manager themselves, but they work both hand in hand.
So really, some people or plumbers that might be listening, this sounds like a nightmare. You got the plumbing issue, and then you've got the stakeholders. Who's actually involved? You might have a landlord, a tenant. We're talking about landlord, tenant, strata company, the strata manager, the board.
Yeah, the strata committee.
Strata committee. Yeah. So you've got so many stakeholders involved sometimes.
Yeah. No, not sometimes. The majority of the time.
Okay, majority of the time.
90% of the times.
100%. So what you've done is you've systemized, made it a little bit more. You've created a custom system.
Yeah.
And you've built your business to deliver at a high level and
100%.
High standard.
Strata is very political.
Okay.
Honest. So if you've got, I'm your neighbor, for example,
yes.
and we're on the committee.
Yes.
And I don't like you and you don't like me because of something that happened, and there's conflict or there's something that's happening on that committee, it can be an absolute nightmare.
Yep.
Really, really can.
Yep.
So you really need to know how to go straight down the line, filter through that, address it head on, and not beat around the bush.
Yes.
Simple as that, right? But that again comes with the experience. Sometimes we went into quote requests and AGMs and EGMs, like they're called extraordinary general meetings. That something major is happening that you need to go in and address.
And you
into
attend.
A bloodbath. Honest, it was like we were.
Give me one story.
There was a block of I think 14, and there was a sewer line that needed to be replaced. Right. And what tended to happen was we provided the quote for a permanent fix and a permanent solution to get this. And the job I think was about probably about a $40,000 job. You're probably going to be there for about 2 weeks. A lot of labor intensive activity that needed to be
Machinery
done.
hire, all
Machinery
of that.
Hire. And then the argument on the other side was we don't want to get it done. We've had a problem. We're happy to continue to get it cleared out and jet blasted. And the other ones were arguing back and forth. And this wasn't something that happened overnight. This continually happened. And the other guys on the committee, because I didn't have the funds, I didn't want to pay. So if the committee doesn't have enough money in the sinking fund to get this job approved, they've got to take money out of their own pocket and put it in, right, to make up for the money.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of resistance, and that's what happened. And you had to go backwards and forwards. So what we've done in that particular building was we put a maintenance plan in. We gave them 6 months. So we came back out and we done it twice in between. And then at the 6 month mark, we done the job. So, but they were at that meeting, mate. It was like
you had to find a balance to satisfy
everyone. They weren't meeting
everyone.
on mutual ground. They were just constantly fighting. The manager couldn't even have a say. And that happens a lot. You find that the buildings that don't have the money in the sinking fund have a lot of issues and a lot of internal problems, and people don't want to spend money here. And they don't want to do this and they don't want to do that. So it's political, to say the least. So you need to know how to navigate yourself, and you've got to be, as a contractor in strata, that you say you specialize in that field, you need to know how to deal with those situations.
Wow. Let me tell you, what an education piece I just got right now. And all of those things I was not really aware. Yeah. I thought it was a little bit more straightforward, where you get a work order, you go attend, you send your invoice.
Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah, of course. No, I don't doubt it. But I think when you said, if there is an issue, it will get resolved.
Yeah.
And now I understand when you make that statement, why it's so powerful is because you know how bad the situation can get.
Yeah.
And sometimes they are really difficult to actually resolve.
Yeah.
But because of your experience, you know how to put it all together.
But like, for an example, we always try to work with them. So, we didn't have to say, we could have been, no, we're not going to do any block drain maintenance or whatever it is. And this is the only solution that you've got. It doesn't work that way, right? So you can always give them options. How do we resolve this problem? If you don't have the money now, what can we do to help? Can we do something different? Can we look at doing something bespoke in the time being till we resolve it permanently? There's always ways to go around it, but I just feel like as a contractor and as a company, we've learned how to do that really well.
Fantastic. Now let me just say that those that are listening that think strata is all glamorous, right, will now get a very good understanding that it's far from that.
There's so much more work involved.
But you know what? Once again, you know what you've basically just told me is you've restarted a new business in your business.
Yeah.
You did the same methodology that you did when you first started your business and learning how to do residential maintenance.
Yeah,
you've remastered the art, but in strata management. Now that just shows, you know, you're talking about you were 6 to 7 years into your own business and you had to reinvent the wheel, which is fantastic to add a new layer. Now you've just recently, which you know, congratulations, you've just added a new department to your business again.
Yeah.
So that's another sign of evolution and growth, which is fantastic. Which is the SPS Property Maintenance Division.
Yeah.
That is super exciting, and you know, I wanted to understand your decision, your vision, like in a quick summary version. You know, why taking this next step?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Right, in strata, for example, if you've got a pipe that's leaking between the, you know, one side of the unit and the other side, and the pipe's underneath the ground, and you need to complete a redivert, for example, right, and relocate where the lines are to eliminate a leak. For example, I'm just giving you a hypothetical example here, right? All the resultant damage, the damage that you've caused to repair this, strata generally needs to facilitate that. So the plumber will do the work, and then what then generally tends to happen is the manager that will then go find a maintenance company, or they might find a painter, a gyp rocker, a tiler, whatever it is, to get the works repaired. Even before we set up this company, we were still taking on the entire job because, again, we want to make the managers' lives that we work with easier, right? And it drives me nuts and it drives me crazy, and I don't understand why managers still do this. You know, they get a plumber. I feel like they just get complacent and they get comfortable with their current trades. But I look at it from a different point of view. You're sending me out to a job as a contractor, right? If you would like me to, I can take on the entire job if you want. I have the contacts, I have the result. I'm happy to help and facilitate that work for you. So what now we've done is we've now hired guys and we've set up this property maintenance division. And this is going to now complement our COD side, and it's going to complement our strata side. So anytime we do our strata work, we can handle that in-house. One company under one umbrella taking care of it. Imagine how great that is. You know, you as a manager have
Peace
a
of mind.
small door that you want to hang up, right? You don't have to go call 5 different companies because you want to hang up a door. You want to do a small, you know, tiling job. You got the plumbing, you got the roofing. Our end goal is to have electrical in the company by end of 2021 as well. But now we've got everything. As we continue to evolve through the company, we want to start having everything in-house. That's our goal, and put everything under one umbrella to make the manager's lives easier.
Can I say why? You know, you may look at it. You might say the simplicity of a strata manager, or even a COD or a residential job. The simplicity of using you guys, having any type of issue. That's one part. I think that's one part that's probably minor. I think the fact that you're bringing this into your company and you're going to instill your values, your standards of operation, and your quality of service, that is the power, in my opinion. Because if your level of your standards are this high, now you've just introduced a new division, you're obviously going to make sure that the standards are kept at that level, especially when it's your brand on it.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's the power of it, because you're making, in my opinion, an industry, you know, being property maintenance, a lot more professional.
You know, you're talking about the foundation before. The foundation's already there.
Yeah.
You've done the hard work.
Yeah, you're instilling the values and the standards.
Now it's just more about training the new guys to make sure they buy in. You hire correctly.
Yep, and that's you've learned and you've stuffed up and you've learned.
And then what happens is now it's just about, you know, why you think about, if you're a consumer, why do you want to go to 3 different or 4 different companies? If you're a strata manager, why do you need to feel the need to deal with 7 different companies to get a small job prepared? Or it might even be a large job prepared. I don't know what that is. But all I do know is that you now have the capability and the power to use one company that you trust enough, that we've been doing the plumbing work for you enough so you know how we operate. The same procedures and the systems are going to continue to flow on. Why as a manager would you need to use different companies? It makes no sense.
Totally understand. But I think if a strata,
easier said than done.
If a strata manager is listening, I think the biggest takeaway is you didn't go get a handyman off the street and then start sending them out to jobs. I feel as though this is a whole, an environment that you've created, a ecosystem of high standards, quality service, high responsiveness, great communication, great quality. You're putting new team members hiring correctly into this world.
So Joe's handyman, for example, might have been dealing with that strata company, right? Joe's handyman, one-man band.
Yep.
And he might be doing a fantastic job. I don't know, right? Whatever it is, right? But Joe, then you've got Shane's handyman, for example, right? Same one-man band or two-man band, responds to work orders a week after, unresponsive.
Communication do you think is high?
Is poor, no photos, no documentation. He might be, super, super, super cheap, but you're getting 100 emails and 100 abusive phone calls saying, where is this guy? I sent you this request a week ago. What's happened in between?
Can I ask you a question? You've got some buildings out there with very high strata, like for the landlords, the strata, like
the levies.
Yeah, the levies are very high.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to ask you, because I know professionalism and the way your staff and your team arrives at a job, their presentation. I know that matters to you because I've dealt with you for a long time, and presentation is super important.
Yeah.
Respecting the place is super important. Now those residential blocks, when your team arrives, the residents also need to see a level of professionalism
100%.
From the trades that are used on those building sites.
You're not only representing us, but you're representing that strata company when
That's
you go
exactly
out there, right? So you just imagine copying the phone calls saying that SPS Plumbers arrived, they're wearing tracksuit pants, they got holes in their shirts, they're swearing, they're smoking in the lobby, they've left their rubbish everywhere. Imagine how crap the manager would feel after you have sent a person you thought you trust out to a building that you manage and they put their trust in you.
That's right. Now, even in terms of hazards and putting the right signage in place and
safety strata
and
is massive.
Because once again, you're in a strata building. Like you're in a residential block, and there's common driveways. You've got lifts. You've got a lot of common areas.
There is so much more moving parts and so much more liability and risk.
Would you say that you had to buy more? Sort of items, for safety in
Not
managing?
so much items. It was more the procedures and the things that we needed to instill into the guys. That if we do this, you need to make sure you do this beforehand. Right? You concrete cut a section out of concrete. If you're excavating in a driveway, you make sure you get a service scan done before anyone touches anything here. If you're working in a high traffic area, can we do a reline? As opposed to digging it up. All these little things that we've now put in place to minimize risk. And it's massive in strata. Huge.
Wow, that's impressive. So I know that, you're producing a lot more content. So you've got your YouTube channel going. And I see that you've started to educate whoever's interested in learning.
Yeah, sure.
I see that you've started discussing pipe relining, new technology there. The fact that you're willing to share information is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think your transparency, the fact that you're super transparent about your business is super powerful as well, because transparency, in my opinion, and whoever's watching, I hope they appreciate it. Transparency shows that you have nothing to hide. That you stand by your word, you stand by your service, you stand by what you represent. And I hope the audience appreciates it, because a lot of people aren't willing to really dive into their business and explain sort of the tricky areas and where they've had success and where they haven't had success. But I appreciate that. I think, you're starting to gain some awesome momentum in strata, but it's all because you follow the same philosophy that you started from the first day you opened your business.
Yeah, 100%.
Delivering a good service and continually evolving and improving. But it's obviously
there's
not.
a lot of work behind it. Really, really is a lot. And I've got a great team and they work so hard. And I'm grateful and I'm super happy and excited and proud that we've got a great team that can service our customers. And I genuinely love the fact that we can serve the clients that we need to serve in a polite, respectful, efficient manner that makes us look good and makes them look good. We're solving their problem. Simple.
Leaving a great impression at the end of it. Well, look, honestly, well done, Mick. You really have done such an amazing job in building your business. You know, we're super proud of your brand. We're super proud that we're able to represent your brand.
Yeah.
You know, I believe, you know, we take care of your brand and we care about your brand as much as you do. Yeah. And I think that's a relationship that I believe we've developed together. But I believe that you guys are onto, you know, another level, and I think you're going to continue to grow. But I really appreciate you sharing all this information with us.
Happy to be here. I really appreciate the support.
I hope the audience took a lot out of it. And guys, you know, like, share, subscribe, put in the comments if you like any topic that you'd like us to discuss. But once again, thanks very much,
Cheers,
Mick.
mate. Thanks a lot.
Champion.